Are you still missing Arcane Energize? Missing Prime Sure-Footed? You don't want to use Nourish? You don't want to use a Decaying Dragon Key? Turn off your brain yet still destroy everything in sight?
Every little thing you do, it gets me thinking. Buy another shot, you got me drinking. Could you shut me down and there's no...
What's good, folks? It's Nightmare Frame here with a new Warframe video coming at you with a pretty busted Trinity build. This loadout can sustain itself with infinite energy, refresh your entire shield pool and health, giving you damage reduction, status immunity, while armor stripping. It's too damn clean. Also, guys, please make sure to use the timestamps to go to a topic, because if you skip crucial information, well, that's on you. If you skip and copy-paste the build and not knowing how certain things work and complain afterwards, well, that's on you. Trinity is a tank and a support all in one, but with certain Helminth abilities, she can nuke. She has two amazing abilities that allow her to tank, starting with her third ability, Link. Trinity will link herself to a maximum of 3 targets and reduce incoming damage by 75% and redirect that damage back to her attackers. She redirects 100% of the incoming damage and status effects, making you immune to status effects along with staggers and knockdowns. And when you redirect all of this back to the attackers, you can have them knocked down and staggered instead. And you only need to be linked to one target to receive all of the defensive attributes. And if you detach from a previous target, it will seek out any target within range. Another great thing about this ability is that it can go through obstacles. I'm also using Trinity's third ability augment, a baiting link. Enemies linked to Trinity will have their armor stripped. It was recently buffed, reducing the power strength requirement to fully strip the armor. Formerly requiring 223% power strength, now dropped all the way down to 168%, just like Terrify from Necros. Blessing, the fourth ability, the strongest healing ability in the game because it restores shields and health while also granting allies and herself damage reduction, which caps at 75% with 150% power strength, which stacks with your Link, making you a beastly immortal tank with infinite energy and status immunity. And the great thing about Bless is that its range scales of affinity radius rather than range mods. That's 50 meters and an additional 25 meters from the Vazrid Focus School, using the node Mending Unity. Speaking about the infinite energy, Energy Vampire, or commonly known as EV. On cast, you stun a target and have it pulse out an aura that replenishes energy per pulse. And while the target is stunned, it takes true damage, meaning damage done directly to the health, ignoring all defenses. Duration affects the energy pulse. The higher the duration, the longer it takes to receive the energy. You cannot recast this ability on any other target until the duration has ended or the initial target has died. A lower duration will have it rapidly pulse out all of the energy, but killing the affected target will grant you all of the energy it would have given per pulse. So an instant burst of energy upon kill. The true damage and energy income scales of ability strength. This ability alone can kill high-level targets with just viral procs, since viral multiplies the damage done to the health. Now, the Helminth ability is going to be Warcry from Valkyr. This ability on cast grants you attack speed, armor bonus, and reduces enemies' movement speed. This enemy movement speed reduction is only on the first cast. Unfortunately, it is not an aura like Gloom. I will pair this ability with its augment, Eternal War, that increases the duration of the Warcry buff with each melee kill, because we're mostly using this ability for the attack speed bonus and not the armor. Now, why am I using Warcry? Because this is a melee focused build, substituting attack speed for more damage multipliers on the melee build. The melee of choice is going to be a Dokram Za, the heavy blade variant. This build doesn't need grouping because it already has grouping with the Arcane called Exodia Hunt. Slam attacks will have a 50% chance to create a vortex aura around you, pulling in enemies within 12 meters. This aura follows you, so if you trigger it and move towards enemies, it pulls those enemies. This aura staggers enemies, opens them up to finishers, and completely renders them unable to use their attacks. The best stance for this on a heavy blade is Rending Crane. This stance has evolved as damage types and synergies changed. With its neutral combo, you can re-trigger Exodia Hunt consistently, and each hit has a chance to headshot. And what better elemental damage combo and status effect to take advantage of this? Well, none other than Gas, as it scales better when enemies are grouped up, and each enemy enemy is able to create their own gas clouds when you proc gas damage onto them. Caution! There is one weakness to this build, and that is the lack of vision, as enemies will be clumped up obstructing your movement and vision along with gas clouds everywhere, so use it with absolute intent of obliterating anything in sight. Okay, now hopefully you paid attention to the info provided because more info will be provided as we're at the build section. In the aura, I have Combat Discipline. Every kill drains 10 health and heals allies. This aura damages me to then trigger Arcane Avenger for the flat 45% crit chance increase on my weapons. Power Strength at 214% with Power Drift in the Exilus and Blind Rage. Since we have Link, I don't need to use Prime Surefooted. This ability's strength increase is mostly for the Warcry buff, giving me 64% attack speed. Duration at 183% with Primed Continuity and Constitution. The duration affects all the abilities, but it's more important for my Link and Bless uptime. This gives my Link 21.96 seconds and Bless at 18 seconds. Stretch for the increase in range only to benefit Link, extending it to 29 meters. Prime Flow for the large energy pool increase since I'm going to have a negative efficiency and my abilities will cost more, so this helps the reserves. Rolling Guard for the 3 seconds of invulnerability after a dodge roll, helpful when your shields break and Link runs out. And finally the 2 augments, Abating Link for the armor strip and Eternal War for the buff uptime. The final arcane is Arcane Strike for the additional attack speed. This is going to be paired with the Warcry buff to give me the sufficient attack speed increase because heavy blades are, heavy and slower in animation, and there is no tactical advantage in being slow. In terms of Archon Shards, I have 2 yellow shards for the casting speed increase, so I don't have to use natural talent on the build. And trust me, she needs the casting speed. As I said earlier, there is no tactical advantage in being slow. And now onto the melee build. My Dokram Za Heavy Blade, aka the Conference Call. And yes, it is a Borderlands 2 reference, and the name suits it because Exodia Hunt pulls in enemies for a conference call of death. Corny, but appropriate. Builds from the Dokram Strike, Sakala Grip, and Varjeet Jai 2 Link. This gives me 1.25 attack speed, pretty high for a heavy blade, 25% crit chance, 2 times critical multiplier, and 14% status chance. It is heavy in the slash damage department, so it can be modded for bleed builds if you want. In the stance, I am using Rending Crane for the consistent Exodia Hunt procs and just being a solid overall stance that has no drawbacks. Condition Overload for the increase in base damage when you have enemies affected by several unique status effects. When modded with Blood Rush, I get 135% crit chance at max combo, and since I'm critting 100% of the time, I need to multiply the damage my crits deal with Organ Shatter. Pair Organ Shatter with Gladiator Might for the additional crit damage, and since it's part of the Gladiator set, it takes my crit chance all the way up to 162%. And pair this crit chance with Arcane Avenger on my Warframe, I get 207%, so consistent oranges and that random red crit. Weeping Wounds for the status chance increase, making that 14% status chance a whopping 75% at max combo. Prime Smite mod for the faction you're up against to multiply all of my outgoing damage on my melee. Prime Fever Strike and Molten Impact to form gas. This increases my initial gas hit damage and not the DOT. Range at 3 meters. We don't need to mod for range on this build because Exodia Hunt in the Arcane slot pulls in all the enemies towards us. For the primary weapon, use whatever you want, just make sure it has the Dexterity Arcane equipped for the combo duration, which helps your melee with combo management, and of course, Amalgam Serration just for the sprint speed increase. For the primer, this is where you're going to be equipping the second Dexterity Arcane, and I recommend the Kuva Nucor instead of the Epitaph because of 2 reasons. 1, if your Link suddenly runs out and you're priming enemies, you can stagger yourself with the Epitaph Quickfire. 2, the cold procs in Epitaph can slow down enemies being pulled with Exodia Hunt because cold procs slow down every animation. So for the Kuva Nucor, you want a Magnetic Progenitor. This weapon has innate radiation and it applies the microwave status effects. So now you're proccing 3 unique status effects without even modding it. And of course, I equipped it with viral and heat 60/60s for more elemental damage types and status chance increase, and additional utility mods, especially eject magazine in the Exilus, so it can reload the weapon when holstered, meaning when you prime enemies and go into your melee, you're passively reloading it. And you combine this with synth mods on the Panzer Volpaphyla for the additional passive reload while holstered. Your Panzer with a generic build to spread viral procs stop you from dying, having the synth set mods, and just being a pet that doesn't die. And no, mutagens do not matter. For the Focus School and Operator Arcanes, it's all up to you. Alright folks, that has been it from this brain dead Trinity build. If you've enjoyed and learned something, please feel free to leave a like, share, and subscribe for more Warframe content, streams, and so much more. Do refer to the description. Thanks for watching, stay tuned for more, and as always, peace.